with. You hadn't seen this in 25 years. How do you feel it holds up? The room seemed to love it.
Actually, I'm impressed myself. The special effects definitely shows it's from a different era.
Is that it?
I think the fact that you guys chose a very specific aesthetic allows them to even though they're dated, they kind of exist in their own kind of sense of style. How were those effects done in the room, in the virtual reality space? Was it just you guys on green screen or blue screen?
We had green screen. Just to see the level of technology that changed. It took over 24 computers rendering day and night for months to create those simple effects.
I was going to ask, how long did that opening shot take, where it goes through the house, like weeks?
These were expensive shots that took so many computers. I mean, many of you weren't born at that time.
What was the industry like that Expect No Mercy kind of existed in?
Really, we were pioneers at the time, and we thank everyone who helped us. From City TV was a great supporter in their, the way they pushed, and we had our own studios. Many of the sets you see were in our studio in Dalen. It was the old Dalen Theater. So I turned it into a studio, and they were made. Sets were built inside.
Speaking of sets, you annihilate that house in the middle of the movie. Can we talk a little bit about what went into that sequence, and also was that you jumping through the window?
Yeah, there's like a fireball that like catches.
Almost incinerates the stuntman.
You know what? They told me it's not gonna hurt. I think the guy that pressed the button, we used to call him hot handstand or something. He would count 1, 2, 3, and be on 3 he will press instead of like wait for 3. So I mean, it looks good, but yeah.
That must have been incredibly scary.
It looks like you're caught right in the explosion.
It was not supposed to be that.
Only one take, right? One take.
What prompted you to get into action films? Because you produced a lot of them, you starred in a lot of them.
I don't know what it is, but to me, that's all that I could do. I wasn't a good actor, I'm not, but I could do
Hell of
action.
a one-line deliverer.
Yeah.
You surprised me. I didn't think you were this good.
You surprised me. I didn't know you could think.
You can do the one-lines.
If you get the right writer, you could do something, but I enjoyed action films. I enjoyed every single one of them. I mean, so I tried to emulate some, but I think we did a great job with the budgets we had. We did an amazing job because everyone thought we did it for 2 or 3 times what we did it for.
And I have to ask, like, the last third of this movie is all action. How did you approach, like, choreographing it? And when did you go, like, well, that's enough action? Because, like, there's a lot in this, and it looks like it hurts, too, and it's tiring.
Tiring it is. I mean, we would finish every night and literally you can't stand up because you're like working out 12, 13 hours a day. You're working out, that's what it is. But we were trying to top the previous 2 films, Talons of the Eagle and TC-2000, and the market was demanding more and more.
Fight! What for? It's what I do.
A lot of this action was choreographed on the spot.
Oh, wow.
We had very short time to prepare these things. With low budgets, you can't prep it for months like large movies.
Despite the fact that you're improvising some of this choreography, what I enjoy is that all the fighters seem to have their own style and sensibility.
Yeah. Excellent work, Damien.
Some of the fighters have their own quirks, like Alexander's iguana. Was that something in the script, or was that something that the fighter brought?
It's his own iguana. Yeah. A lot of the fighters, I would say 90% of them, if not more, they're all friends of mine from the period when we used to compete in the circuit. So a lot of them, some from the US, some from Canada, they're all friends that we competed in the same tournament for years and years before. So I always brought my friends instead of just hiring stunt people from outside.
This movie has some surprise folks in the cast. Of course, Laurie Holden's in the film, but also, I don't know if there's any Canadian cinephiles out there, but the technician who runs the computer is a guy named
Lazar
Rockwood.
From Beyond the Seventh Door.
From Beyond the
Everybody's
Seventh
seen
Door.
that.
He's kind of like an icon in Canadian called cinema.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all!
What was it like to work with Mr. Rockwood?
Hey, you are not allowed in this area.
Abort this program.
You are making a serious mistake, young lady.
Lazar is a fixture in my films. I think you see him in at least 10 of my films. Different roles. He was with me on the first film. He played the lead villain. And I love the guy as a human being and as a person. So I always found something for him.
No, it's awesome to see him on screen. Questions in the audience, right there.
Yeah, hi. When I was a kid, I was actually around the shooting of this movie on set because it was all in my neighborhood. So, like, I remember the explosions at UFT campus and all the reports of gunshots that they killed in. But I also remember, like, it was a really hot summer then, and mosquitoes were everywhere in that part of Scarborough. How did you guys deal with that?
How did you guys deal with the mosquitoes? From someone who was there and knows how bad it was.
Thank you. It was, especially in that forest scene, that was bothersome for everyone. When you roll on the ground and you gotta pretend for a few seconds that it does, they don't exist, and that's all that you see.
When you blew up that school at the end too, how was Hot Hand Stan still crazy on the trigger? That's also a very impressive explosion sequence. I can't imagine.
How is there not a crater there? Because that explosion is massive.
We had to rebuild the whole facade of the building. We did. And I was just hoping my car doesn't get damaged.
Wow. Other questions? Yes, right there, far right.
How did you get all the extras? Did you do like auditions for them, or did you just do tryouts?
They're all my friends, and they're students. So each person brought a bunch of his students with him, and I promised them a role in the film. But they all got paid, but they're all real martial artists. Otherwise, it would have taken forever to do it.
Yes, you.
Can you still do a backflip?
Can you still do a backflip?
Well, I think at 63, I'm not sure about that. But we could do other things. Thanks, though.
Right there.
I had a question. So, I saw your filmography. It's like quite extensive. If you were to make a recommendation for follow-up films to this one to watch, like what were your top films that you were in?
What films would you say you're proudest of for people to check out?
Tiger Claws, Talons of the Eagle, TC2000. These are great films that did very well worldwide, and they opened the door for me, especially Tiger Claws, worldwide. I had a huge release, theatrical. Universal Studios was behind me. I did the initial part on my own. Once they saw some footage, they just jumped in and gave me a big opening and release. The other ones, which were done early 2000s, are the circuit. In DVD, they were top release films. Those, I was mainly a director. There's a very small role in it, but I'm very proud of them.
Just quickly, what was the game? Was it about the same name?
Yeah, Expect No Mercy. It's a CD-ROM game.
You can find it online actually today. There are like ROMs and ports of the game. It was very much like Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, blood would splatter when you would hit someone.
What was your opinions working with Billy Blanks?
Billy is one of the top martial artists out there in history. Just to give you an example, I know Billy since we both were 20 years old. And I met him in the first competition in Ting Fong Wu, I think in Buffalo. There used to be a Kung Fu master. He's from Pennsylvania, and we met here, and then we stayed friends. But he is one of the greatest martial artists, and he's an amazing specimen, and we had dinner last week. I was in LA with him, and he's still in good shape.
Was it his idea that he'd turn his baseball cap backwards? Because he does it a bunch of times in the movie.
This was actually part of the script because we wanted to show him that he's trying to be a cool dude. But if everyone also noticed that him and his brother, they had that great scene in the basement, him and Michael, and I mean, we just choreographed that night, and they did an amazing job.
Did you pitch the film?
I pitched it. We were thinking about something futuristic, and at the time, I mean, all this computer stuff and the lines that you hear there, they were just something that very few people knew about. And I was a bit of a geek myself. I mean, I think I've got every style of Mac from day one to now still in my basement somewhere. And this idea developed slowly, became bigger and bigger than it was, and other people started jumping on board.
Well, you mentioned that Alliance brought Zale on. How was it working with him? Was he adept at shooting action, or?
No, he's not an action guy, but he's the one who kept us online. The action was mainly myself and Steve Monder, the writer. He's one of my students in martial arts from the 80s, and he's a York University graduate, and we took care of all of that. And then once we brought the stars, originally it was not Billy Blanks, it was Olivia Gruner to start with.
There's a moment in the film where I feel like a switch gets turned on in Wolf Larson, the actor who plays Warbeck, where he goes from kind of a cool and calculating villain to a total megalomaniac.
If the government can kill, why can't I?
And I just wanted to know if there was ever a point in the filming where everyone decided he needs to start going crazy.
Why can't people understand such a simple concept?
I mean, there was a big picture in the background of him. How did that come about?
I mean, that's the whole idea.
Yeah.
He was thinking of himself that he's bigger than life, and we needed to bring that out, especially before the ending. I mean, sometimes he had to go there. First, he was, because every megalomaniac thinks he's cool.
I am in complete control.
While we were unfortunately able to show the film on 35 tonight, I've been talking with y'all about the films that you have, and hopefully in the future we can get some of your work restored or re-released, because I know that a lot of people in this room would be really excited to own a Blu-ray. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.